What is going on, you guys? Happy Tuesday. Thank you guys all so much once again for tuning back in, and Happy New Year. It's pretty exciting to be able to start off another year, right, on a clean note for trading. And yeah, it was definitely a little weird looking at all my P&L year to date today, just resetting everything, but definitely a nice and fresh feeling. And yeah, I hope you guys are all excited and looking forward to another year of trading. So let's get right into another recap, right? Not to waste any more time. So on the day today, I did manage to actually finish green on the day. I was up $63 on SQs and I was up $30 on TQs. And those are the only two stocks I day traded today. You'll see here all my filled orders, not much like I usually have, but you'll notice Tesla, we did buy in some shares, but this was when the market was closed already. I'll cover that again briefly, but here are all my actual trades throughout the day, and if you'll notice, it was only on SQs and TQs, and I was done trading within the first half an hour that the market was open, right? I was able to finish trading at 6:52 in the morning, and I want to walk through with you guys kind of my key trades for today on what I was able to do well today. So our account was still broken even today, although because of Tesla, and like I said, I'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, heavy hit today on Tesla for sure. If any of you guys heard about it, it did have a rough day today, and yeah, I'll cover that in a bit. But as far as how the Nasdaq went today, as you guys can see from looking at it, this was right around when the market opened up, right here at 6:30 in the morning, and immediately just from looking at it, you can see that the market tried to drop a bit right when it opened, had a nice gap up, right? This was a nice green candle, a nice move up to the top VWAP, only for it to get rejected off the top VWAP and end up selling off pretty aggressively, right? It ended up selling off offering a pretty sized margin. So as far as how I went about it today to profit, right when the market opened up, I do like to take trades now. I've said in the past I usually would hold off, but there is good volatility, and I think I've found a good way to kind of manage my risk, so it's not the end of the world if it goes south. So basically, if I were to zoom in right now, right around here was when the market opened up, and as you can see, we started getting an immediate push downwards, right? That's why you see these big red candles forming all the way. It fell all the way down to here, the Nasdaq, and that's why you'll notice that for my trades, my very first trade of the day was on SQQQ, right? And I tried averaging into it because of the fact that it was falling aggressively. So as it started to fall, I started to average up into it, hoping that the market was basically going to start falling, right? And although, as you can see, that didn't happen, I did do a good job of managing my risk. It did end up happening later, the move I wanted, but you'll basically see what I mean in terms of how I'm able to kind of get a good idea on direction. So as it started to fall, all I want to do is my part in going with direction. I don't want to try and predict if it's going to bounce here potentially, even though it did in the past, right? I just want to do my part in going with the direction. And as you can see, I did immediately start going with it because the market just opened up, it did have a fluctuation of direction basically, right? Anytime, like I've told you guys before, the market opens up, it does tend to sometimes kind of flip-flop on you, and that happened. So not the end of the world. I averaged into this trade, ended up just stopping out of those, right? I cut those shares right after I bought them, as you guys can see here, right? I ended up cutting the shares I just bought in. So I really ended up making money, firstly on TQQQ. As you can see, this was SQQQ. And this was TQQQ. So I made $30 on it, not much. And the way I was able to make money on it was once I saw that direction basically flipped here, I wanted to basically wait until I saw direction either continuously start to fall, and then I would want to feel comfortable getting in, or if direction did want to start uptrending, I would want to wait for confirmation. And basically I would want to see it trend above this blue EMA line here and keep basically breaking above these little resistances here. So that's what I was looking for, and when I got stopped out, I saw that the market ended up coming back down a little and finding a nice higher low, right? If I were to zoom in, you can see that the market tried pushing up aggressively, ended up coming back down. And when I saw this higher low right here, meaning the low it formed here was higher than it previously just fell, right? It formed a higher low, and on top of that, it had a nice green candle form again, like it just did. So I thought that was a good sign once we started trending up again, that we were going to see a move in the upwards direction. So that's why I decided to get into TQQQ. And if you'll notice, there were a few different trades where I ended up averaging in fully and cutting it, right? And the reason for that, if you'll notice, is every time I averaged in, I didn't get a good fill to sell. Like a lot of these, you'll see I averaged in at 17.85, and only sold a cent higher. Just like basically these, I bought at 17.92, sold at 17.95. That's why I was only up 30. It took me a few moves, but I basically just wanted to cut the shares at the top VWAP because I did that a few times, as you saw on the different timestamps, right? As it started to go, I averaged in and cut it quick, and once I saw it really wanted to keep going, I just repeated that. And it wasn't for the biggest margin. I was only up $30, but I ended up starting to make my money again once I changed direction and started to go with SQQQ. And like I just told you guys, how did I know the direction was going to change, right? I didn't know. If anything, the market could have kept this uptrend pattern, and it could have kept using this blue line to bounce off of it, and it could have kept rallying. But we didn't see that, and it ended up pushing up to the top VWAP and getting rejected. And I waited for confirmation that this thing was going to start falling. Basically, it started to trend below this blue EMA line now, right? And it started to keep dropping. It wasn't trying to find a support. It kept forming lower lows and lower highs, right? As you can see, these red candles were falling below any support it had. And that's when I really looked to get heavy into SQQQ. And if you'll notice, I ended up having two pretty solid trades here, buying in at 52.91 originally, and I averaged up around 53 and sold for 10 cents profit at 53.11. And I did the same thing basically at 6.52. Not much later, for 53.47 I got in, and I averaged in at 53.60, 62, 65, and I sold everything at 74. So those were my solid trades, and this was at 6.52. So that is right around here. So I was getting into SQQQ thinking the market was going to start selling off now, right? Because SQQQ pushes up when the Nasdaq pushes down. They act in direct opposite of each other, like I've told you guys a lot of times before. Just check out another video if you're confused about that. And yeah, at 6.52, that's right around here. I was able to take part in this nice little drop all the way kind of right around here. And I cut it, and obviously looking at it, I cut prematurely, right? Look at how much more the Nasdaq kept selling off on a day. I just did my part in walking away for the day because I was just happy with where I was at, right? I basically hit my goal. It was within half an hour, and yeah, it's just that simple. I didn't want to put my part in. I wanted to do my part in not overcomplicating it, right? I didn't want to overtrade or anything like that, so I walked away when I was happy with it. And yeah, more money could have been made definitely, but I'm just looking, like I said, to hit my goal and move on. You guys don't have to do the same, obviously. So yeah, that's as far as the Nasdaq, what I wanted to cover. Basically, look at where the Nasdaq is trending in regards to this blue EMA line. You'll notice anytime it's trending below it, it tends to use it as a resistance kind of and fall below it and keep falling. And anytime it starts to trend above it now, you'll notice it usually starts to trend up. So it's a pretty good indicator, and I really like to use it. And as far as Tesla, not much to say here. Me and my brother just loaded up when the market closed because, as you can tell, it died. And the reason why Tesla died today is really due to let me just fix that chart. It looks a little weird. But today Tesla, as you guys can see, it was down a lot today on the day. And the reason for that was because it did report its Q4 deliveries. And what's crazy is that although it did miss its number of around 420,000 vehicles to deliver, it didn't miss it by much, only around 3%. It still grew as a company 40% more than it was last year, than where it was at. 40% is ridiculous, right? That's a large, that's basically just such a large increase in their growth overall. And for that to happen is really big. And Wall Street and everyone just has really ambitious targets for Elon and everything like that, right? They're projected to make 50% every year to grow as a company, and because they didn't hit that, they only hit like 40 point something percent, right? It's looked at as a failure, which is absolutely crazy to me because this company is still if you look at it long term, it is still growing pretty exponentially. And me and my brother, for that very reason, we still find value in it, right? You guys obviously don't have to buy. This is not our advice at all, financial advice. We are just telling you what we wanted to do and why. And we just think Tesla is still a valuable company. It's just being really undervalued right now, and there's a lot of selling pressure, and we just decided to load up on a few more shares. Nothing we can't tolerate losing, right? I really want to stress that to you guys. If any of you are looking to get in, because the prices, I'll agree with you, are pretty low. Look at it on the year, right? It's at a year low, and just looking at it all time, right? It has had a disastrous year. I think there's a lot of upside for it, and that's for you guys to make your own decision, right? Just make sure to keep in mind it can obviously keep dying. Nothing has to recover, so please don't put anything in right now that you're not willing to lose. So thank you guys all so much. Ended up being a little bit longer of a recap, but I hope you guys learned something from it, and very excited to start off the whole year basically of trading on a green note. So thank you guys all so much, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.